Yep, it's on now. I got it. We got sound now. But I got no video. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep, it's on now. All right, we got sound now. A little technical glitch. Welcome, everybody, to the T350 show. I'll try not to choke on my Coca-Cola here. I got down the wrong pipe. Yeah, it's not the Steelers mask. Even though they are 8-0. We're outside of Cleveland here, and I'm stuck behind enemy lines. So I don't know if everybody's watching football or if some people are still boycotting it. I started watching again because, well, you know, Steelers are 8-0. I gotta watch, and with a real shot at being 10-0. Hi, Robert. How are you today? So, hope everybody's enjoying. I don't know if everybody's enjoying the weather. We're, excuse me, enjoying here in Northeast Ohio. It's been 70s plus for a couple, 3 days in a row now. It's beautiful weather. It's not so great for the guys that are trying to bow hunt during the rut. Makes it really hard to bow hunt when it's this hot. The deer aren't moving. They're already in their winter coats, and they hunker down in the day when it's this hot. So this time of year they should be running everywhere, and I'm hearing a lot of guys saying they're just not seeing a lot of activity because of the heat always pushes the rut down. But we'll give a few more minutes here for our audience to build, and I wanted to show off something here real quick. We're up to a new project here. The play on words there, up to a new project. Hey, what's up, Ron? How you doing, bud? 40s here in Kansas City, yeah? We'll take some of that right now. I'm sure the deer hunters would. But these are just coming off of the production line for us right now. This is our new billet upper. Pretty nice, very stylish. Took a couple of them out so far and test fired them. Everything runs great, no issues. We're a couple hundred pieces into production right now, so these are available for our OEM guys, white labeled to your company if you want to so do that. We got asked to get into the upper game, and tried to get forged uppers, and it's a 4-month wait time to get forgings for mil-spec uppers. So we dove in the billet arena first, and we really like these. We're real happy with it. So look for these to be coming up for sale here on our website real soon. If you're interested in a billet upper, some forged mil-spec uppers are a little hard to find. So Brian needs one. So last week we talked about failure to fire, the different modes of why your gun won't go bang when you pull the trigger, how to diagnose those and how to troubleshoot them and how to fix them. So if you missed that show, go down in the feed and check out the show, or it'll pop up here on our YouTube channel in a day or two as well. So if you're enjoying our shows, like them and share them. Anytime you see fit, we can always use the promotion. We love it. So last week's deal, we had $20 off of our rifle kits, rifle and pistol kits. We sold quite a few rifle and pistol kits over the week, and those guys enjoyed a nice little $20 discount on all those. And we hope if you guys are in here, thanks for the business. And you know, hey, when you get them built, show them off. We'd love to see them. You know, post them in the architect group, post them on BYOAR. We'd love to see those kits in the wild, in action. So for this week's deal, any handguard you buy this week, you're going to get a free muzzle brake. You're going to get one of our black nitride muzzle brakes free. So that's any Cornerstone, any Foundation, and that's we have all the Cornerstones, I believe, now are in stock, both the competition and the full flat top. We've got both styles, 15s, 13s, 10s, 7s, and I really like these competition tops. They're nice and light, and they're super light, and you got just a full grip. You can get your hand all the way around that thing. If you like that C-clamp grip when you're shooting to keep that muzzle down, these things are really great for that, and you won't get your finger chewed up going over top of the over top of the picket. Great handguard. This 17-inch handguard you can get for I think it's $69.95, something like that. It's under $70. The 15-inch handguard, American made, under $70. How can you go wrong? So buy one of those this week, and you're going to get a free muzzle brake, and that muzzle brake's going to come with the crush washer and everything you need to get it installed. So this week, last few weeks we've been in talking about failure modes, different problems, different issues that can happen with your gun and how to fix them. Failure to fire, failure to eject, failure to feed, all these different failure modes. So, and most of them can be troubleshot on the spot. What we're going to look at today is, what do you do when something breaks? Something physically breaks and you can't, you're out at a training session, you're out at the range, maybe you're out hunting, who knows, and something physically breaks on your gun, and you're left hanging, right? So, getting a little tackle box, a little segmented tackle box, and carrying some spare parts in it is a really good idea, and we're just going to go through a few of them. I mean, you could put whatever you want in there. Most of your problems, most of your failures are going to come from the internal components here, the stuff that you can fix on the fly, in your kit, in your bolt carrier group. That's where about 80% of the problems you're going to have, if you're going to, where they're going to creep up. That's where they're going to pop up. So we'll take a look at a few of the things that you're going to want to have in that little kit. And, first thing, a firing pin, throw an extra firing pin in there. Most firing pins never break, but, they do wear out over time. They can get a little mushroom headed there, and you'll start having intermittent failure to fire. And it's one of the things we looked at when we talked about failure to fire a week or two ago, to inspect your firing pin and make sure that it's not damaged, it's not mushroomed over. And carrying it's a $7, $8, $9, $10 item. Throwing that in your kit is, you can't go wrong. An extractor. We looked at this, where'd that bolt carrier group or that bolt go I had last week that had the broken extractor. Here it is right here, right? And we talked about, how an extractor can break on you. I got a double feed, one round kicked out sideways, the other one, there you go. The camera guy's got to manipulate it around for me so you can see that. Right? So I had a double feed. One round came up, the next round came in, kicked sideways, and popped the top of the extractor right off. And this happened while we were doing a test session on our drop-in triggers. And, luckily I had another rifle because I didn't have a spare one with me. I just happened to have an extra couple of rifles with me. And I grabbed a bolt out of another rifle and I kept going. But so real quick, I want to show you, and we've talked before about how easy it is to replace an extractor, right? You push on the back side of this thing, and if you don't have a punch, you can use your firing pin. It's actually the same exact size, right? You push down right here with your thumb, pop that pin out, and your broken extractor's out. And then you take your new extractor, you put it in place, push down, seat the pin, and you're back in business. It's literally a 2-minute fix. By the time you disassemble your gun and fix your extractor, drop your bolt back in, put the bolt carrier group all back together, and on your way you go again. Real simple. But, that's a $7, $8, $9, $10 item that can shut you down, right? All of a sudden you've got a single shot rifle. So we got that. We talked about the firing pin. Just having gas rings, right? These little tiny, they're very thin. They almost look like piston rings, right? Basically what they are. So your gas rings wear out and you start to get blow by and you start having cycling issues. Very easy to change these things. So there's a gap in them just like there is on a piston ring in a car. And you take your knife and you get in that opening and you pull it sideways. Now it's going to fight me, right? Just when I want to show you guys how easy it is. It's going to give me a hard time. Isn't that the way it always goes? You get underneath it, get it start. Oh, I had it and it got away from me. There it is. Oh. Okay. And you peel that up out of there. And that's how easy it is to take a ring out. So you get all three of them out, grab your new ones, and you put them back in the same way you feed one side in. And then you just slowly wrap it back around and it snaps in. And just like, piston rings on a car, you want to, they do close up when they're in there, so it's not that big of a deal. But you want to offset them so that the gap isn't in the same place in all three of them as they go around, and you get a better seal that way. So again, a very inexpensive item that can cause you problems and very easy to replace on the fly. Now, we've talked about replacing a couple parts on your bolt head here. When it comes to, so this one doesn't have any rings on it, right? I'm going to put all three rings on here real quick, show you how easy that is. One. 2, that last one's always the tough one to get in, or the tougher of the ones, I should say. Because you don't have as much room as you started out with. And you got to make sure you don't get it underneath the other two, which I just did. Okay, there you go. Got all three of them in there. And what you got here is a completed bolt ready to go, right? So maybe you just buy, and we've all seen the pictures, right, where the guy says, hey, I bought this thing, a couple hundred rounds in, whatever. These things, if they're going to fail, if a bolt is going to fail, it's going to fail right here where the cam pin goes through, because this is where it's the thinnest. The thinnest cross section is right here, right? And we've all seen pictures of a guy holding it to a piece over here and a piece over here, and it's split right there where the cam pin goes in. So, I don't know, $50, $60, for a bolt head. Throwing that in your kit complete and whole. You don't even have to mess with any of this other stuff. So one of these things goes wrong, you just drop the new bolt in, take your bolt carrier group apart, drop the new bolt in, and you're back in business, and you can deal with that broken part on your bolt later on at home. And these things go together really easily. You drop that in with your extractor out, put your cam pin in, turn it, extend it, drop your firing pin in, put your in place, and you're back in business. right? And I showed you this guy. You guys this before. How to check those rings and make sure that they're right. You take this bolt and you stand it up on end, and it should stand up without compressing under its own weight. You can push it down, right, and it goes in, but this should stand up under its own weight. And if it doesn't, if it closes like this, just from the weight of the bolt carrier group itself, or the bolt carrier body, then your rings are getting worn out, and it's time to replace them. So that's how easy it is to do that and fix anything on your bolt. We talked about in the trigger pocket. Most times, if you're going to have a problem in the trigger pocket, it's going to be your hammer spring. We talked about this last week when we were talking about our drop-in trigger, how we tested our drop-in trigger spring 20,000. We tested 4 of them, and we went 20,000 cycles on 2 of them. We went almost 30,000 on another one, but somewhere between that 20 and 30,000 range, this spring eventually failed. It's going to happen. You're bending that metal back and forth 20,000 times, and eventually it's got to wear out. And the same is true with even your mil-spec springs, right? They're bending constantly, and eventually that material's got to stretch and it's going to give out. So you definitely want to have something, a hammer spring, trigger spring, and a disconnect spring. You want to have all of them. And, if you can, to buy an extra fire control group for $30, $40 and throw all the components in your kit. Excuse me, I'm still gummed up from that Coke going down the wrong pipe. Inexpensive parts to throw in your kit, and you're back in business. Charging handle, a $15 item. We've all seen pictures where, right, you got a thin point right here, and guy's pulling back really hard and to charge his rifle, and he snaps the head of his bolt carrier group, or the charging handle off. And a $15 mil-spec charging handle as a spare in your kit, can save the day. Tools, you always want to have your Allen wrenches, whatever Allen wrench size you got. I got various points where I have Allen wrench bolt heads on this thing, and making sure that I know what every one of them is, and that I have an Allen wrench for every one of those in my kit. And no need to carry a 30-piece kit with you. If you got 4 or 5 different sizes, you carry 4 or 5 different Allen heads, and you're done. That's all you need. A couple little punches. Like I said, your firing pin can act as a little punch to help you with your bolt carrier group. You get a couple little punches, throw in there, and a needle nose pliers, and always have a pocket knife with you. Every good hillbilly has a pocket knife. Everybody always asks me, hey, you got your knife on you? And I always tell them, don't ask me if I have my knife on me. Just tell me, say, hey, give me your knife, because I'm going to have a knife on me unless I'm on an airplane. So, I got optics on here. I got a holographic sight that takes a CR2032, and I got a Vortex with a V-Bright reticle that takes a CR2032. Having a couple of extra CR2032s, or whatever size battery it is you need. The little round ones that come in some of the Strike Fire red dots and stuff like that. Knowing what size batteries you need and having a couple of extra batteries in your spare parts kit. I was hunting last year with a group of guys, and one of the kids, his red dot went dead. His battery on his red dot went dead, and he was basically going to be shut down because that's all he had on his shotgun was a red dot. And luckily, I had this with me, and this has a reticle that can light up with the battery, but I don't need to light it up. So I took the battery out of this and gave it to him, got him back in business, and it was, no big deal. But, it's a couple dollars. It could have saved him a lot of headaches and not shut his day down. If I hadn't been there, who knows what he would have done. He'd have had to go find a battery somewhere. Hi, Caleb. How you doing, bud? A little hammer, a little brass, with like a jeweler's hammer, You know, you don't want to carry a 5-pound hammer with you in your kit. Obviously, that gets a little heavy. But having a little, a little brass jeweler's hammer that you can tap pins out, you can tap your trigger pins out, something, if you need to, just enough to give you something to tap with. And a small wrench, maybe a small crescent wrench and a pair of needle nose pliers. And that's, going to give you everything you need to do or that you can do realistically at the range or out in the field. Anything beyond that, your day's probably done and you're going to have to go back to the bench and really do some work. So, and another thing I always carry with me when I go to the range especially, is my laser bore sight. Right? This is, I bought this thing off of Amazon, and it came with those stupid rubber bushings on the end that you got to put the rubber bushing over top of the rubber bushing to get the different calibers or whatever, and they never fit right, and they were a pain in the butt. I ended up making myself a set of multi-caliber aluminum. If you know somebody in a machine shop, somebody's got access to a lathe, right? And they're a couple thousand smaller than the bore, and they're a perfect fit. I got 223, I got 350, I got 450. Every caliber I have in AR, I could just change the end on this thing, and away I go. I'm back in business. And your scope gets bumped off, your sights get bumped off, whatever it is, you got to replace something. This will get you back on paper real quick. So I always throw this in my kit. This goes just about everywhere with me if I'm going somewhere to go shooting. You never know. Even somebody else at the range, having this stuff and the guy next to you is having a problem, and you made a new friend, right? Might get some free ammo out of the deal. Of course, with today's price of ammo today, who's giving away ammo? Nobody. So, those are just some of the basics you want to have in your kit. Basics that I have in my kit. There's a lot of times in these handles, a lot of them come with snap-in covers, and you can actually throw some stuff in there. You can put a trigger in there, and you can put a hammer in there. You can put a disconnect in there, and you can put a spring in there, and you can stuff a whole lot of things in there and put that cap back on, and that stuff's in there. Doesn't need to go in your. I got the trigger stuck in there. I pushed too hard. So that's where you take one of your Allen wrenches and you hook underneath it and you pull it out of there. That's why you always have an Allen wrench with you too. So that's about all I got for that today. Next week's show, we're going to talk about iron sights, offset irons, offset holographic sights, co-witnesses, all that kind of stuff. This is something in fact, I'll show you guys this. So I wanted some, so this is my deer hunting gun for Ohio, and I got a scope, obviously, for, long range stationary shots, and not even really has to be long range. It's a 3x9, but we do a lot of deer drives here in Ohio. The guys, we get together, 8 or 10 of us, and we got 3 or 4 guys that go stand and 3 or 4 guys that go and push a woodlot. And a lot of times you'll get deer that come running by you pretty quickly, or they'll jump up in front of you and they'll take off running. And you got to do quick on the move shots, and iron sights is usually best for that. I had surgery on my right eye years and years ago, so I don't do real well with iron sights. They're not my favorite. I can use them, but it's hard for me to acquire a target because I'm trying to focus on 3 things at once: the animal, my rear sight, and my front sight, and I don't do great with iron sights in a quick situation. So I bought a 45-degree offset, and I put a holographic sight on it, and I got a holographic red dot that I can use both eyes open. And if I got to shoot at a running deer close, something, I got both eyes open. It's easy to acquire the target. Really cool little setup. I'm excited to try that this year. So we'll talk some more about that kind of stuff next week. So don't forget the free muzzle loader, right? We're going to give away a muzzle loader. Free muzzle brake. I got deer hunting on my mind, right? I want to talk about muzzle loading and all kinds of stuff. You're going to get a free muzzle brake with any handguard purchase. And that's Cornerstone Foundation, Cerakote, AR-10. If you buy an AR-10 handguard, and we'll send you the AR-10 muzzle brake with it. AR-10 handguard gets an AR-10 muzzle brake. AR-15 handguard gets an AR-15 muzzle brake. So hope you all enjoyed the show. Glad to see everybody tuning in today. Hope to see you all next week. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it, or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. Thanks.